Now, if you take a good notice of the news, like lately, what's happened in Pakistan surely alarmed the entire international community. And to be specific, the gang rape of a woman in Pakistan's capital has sparked furious protest at the country's rape epidemic and the culture of impunity that surrounds violence against women. Now, based on the reports, the women in Pakistan today seemed rather fearful and afraid, especially regarding their own security. Previously, that we addressed those issues regarding the relationship between China and Pakistan from this economic perspective. But in this episode, we need to dive into a little bit deeper regarding the social issues or such critical matters for women in Pakistan. Well, so that's why, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to invite back our distinguished speaker, which is Dr. Shoaib Kahut. Again, Dr. Kahut is the PhD scholar of Shandong University in China. His research interests include Belt and Road Initiative and energy economics. He has carried out extensive research on Chinese investment across the globe and also the Belt and Road Initiative, and he regularly writes for international papers and journals. Dr. Kahut, and welcome back to The Missing Piece.
My pleasure.
Well, brother, again, as we mentioned in the intro previously, again, a lot of people who are familiar with our conversation always center on the issue regarding this China-Pakistan economic and political relationship. But unlike the previous episodes, in this one, we need to talk about the internal social issues happened and also took place in Pakistan. As I mentioned in the intro, Dr. Kahut, recently, this incident that related to a woman in Pakistan was raped by this ruthless behaviors or ruthless people within the capital city and sparked the fury and the massive protest in this country. Help us to understand why this has been one of the critical and major issues for Pakistan, and why do you think that women today in Pakistan are so fearful and afraid while living in this country?
Well, this issue is now, it has become very serious as we are discussing, this issue right here in China. So very recently, the frequency of the reported rape cases, in Pakistan, we have seen the upward surge in it, and violence against women, it's not only a Pakistan-centric issue. It is a, issue if we see primarily in the patriarchal societies like Pakistan. So Pakistan is one of them where, we have the patriarchal society. So, this issue is actually the core reasons are actually the social problems, the social issues which Pakistan is facing. For example, it's the illiteracy, poverty, unemployment, and such type of, there are, when such events happen, so there are a lot of factors behind them. So as I said earlier, so it is actually one of the byproduct of the social unrest which Pakistan is going through. And then again, when we see the violence against women, it has two facets. One is the rural one, the other one is the urban one. So majority of the women in the rural areas, they don't go to the work outside, So like majority of them, either they go to their fields or they are the housewives, So such reports of rapes or the violence against women, such cases which has been reported from the rural areas, they are, sometimes they are also more than those women who are in the urban areas and they go out for the work, So it means that this problem is not only related with the working women, but this scenario or this case which you are talking about, so it caught up the global attention because it happened right in the heart of a capital city. So, this issue, I mean, as I said earlier, its roots are well entrenched in the social issues which Pakistan has already, grappled with or the facing. And once the country or the people who matter, once they focus to solve those societal issues or the social issues, these rape cases and such issues can be solved.
Dr. Kahut, I want to read something to you, and also, of course, I want to get your reaction on this. Based on the latest research that I quote, ranking 145th out of 146 on the Gender Equality Index, Pakistan has staggering statistics that expose the rape epidemic in the country. So in other words, based on the report, a woman is raped every 2 hours in Pakistan, and the country's conviction rate in rape cases is less than 3%. Now, in this paragraph, Dr. Kahut, there are two pieces of information we need to unfold. Number one, we are talking about this social inequality between men and women. We know this is, again, as you mentioned before, this is not just one of the significant issues happening today in Pakistan, but if we look at some of the countries in Asia and also some of the countries around the world, it has become quite prevalent, to be honest. But meanwhile, again, as a woman, it's so daunting and also so unfathomable to understand that a woman is raped every 2 hours in Pakistan based on research. My question is very much straightforward to you, Dr. Kahut. It's why has been a problem and the government has not able to solve it? So in other words, for the security of women, for the security of a citizen, what is the reaction from the government, and can we expect any positive changes of such number?
Yeah, this issue is very, very grave, as we discussed it earlier. So as per the official statistic, and it was released in 2017 by this national helpline 1098, which is called Madadgar National Helpline. And it said that 93% of the women, they face the sexual violence in one form or the other, when they, especially in the public places. So every now and then we see there are different campaigns by the non-governmental organizations and sometimes from the government as well for the women to reclaim those public places for them. But unfortunately, it's not. So the first priority of a woman in Pakistan, specifically when she's not accompanied with someone, so her first priority is not to hang out alone, specifically outside. So this issue again, its roots are well entrenched in the patriarchal nature of our society, where, as you said earlier, there is the gender inequality. There are certain roles which have been assigned to the male, and there are certain roles which have been assigned to the female only. So, in this, and then there is a sense of superiority in the males that, we are the males one, so we are supposed to be the head of family. So it means we are, so, right from the very core of a single household, these values, they get their strength. And then as a result, we see that there is a very dangerous trend or the upward trend in these cases. But at the same time, government and the NGOs, which is the non-governmental organizations, they are, every time, there is a one or other, campaigns. So it is an orange ribbon campaign, which is about the gender equality. Then there are, pink buses or pink taxi campaigns. Different vehicles have been run which are specifically for the women. Because now with the increasing economic pressures, because Pakistan is going through the economic turmoil. So now more and more, by the way, women are are approximately 51% of the Pakistani society. So
Hmm.
all of the 51%, if they all sit in the home, how can a country progress? So it means that women need
Hmm.
to go outside and contribute in the economy, and and earn more money for their family. So women are, they need to go out. They need to go out for work, for studies, for even hang out. To play around. So because they're human beings, so it is the duty of the government to make the public places or the working spaces more and more safe. By the way, Pakistan is one of the very few Asian countries which have the sexual harassment laws at workplace. So
Hmm.
we have the laws. It's not a problem. We have the laws, and by the laws, they are the very strict punishment also, which also include the capital punishment. But the real problem is the sensitization and more awareness. Number one. Number two, the enforcement of such laws. So in all the provinces and the federal capital, we have the offices of the ombudsman.
Hmm.
Yeah. So all the provinces and the federal city, so
Hmm.
all the we have the ombudsman offices, and those offices, they regularly adhere to all the complaints being posted by the women.
Hmm.
So but unfortunately, the results are not as effective as they were expected to be.
Hmm.
So, but at the end of the day, let's hope that more and more sensitization and more and more awareness will contribute towards decreasing such a crime rate against women.
Dr. Kahut, I really appreciate this thorough explanation. Now, let's talk about the role of women. Take China, for example. Again, it's not just China, but again, countries, again, going back to the continent is within Asia. We know that women today are very much active in taking up the leadership roles. And take China, for example, to be more precise. Again, you are living in China and you know this better than I do, that modern women in China today played a rather indispensable roles not only at work but also within their families. So we know that women today, they're looking for identities and they're looking for safety and they're looking for ways to define their purposes in life in general. But meanwhile, previously that we have not heard so much regarding the role of Pakistan. Now, Dr. Kahut, help us to understand what is the role of women today in Pakistan? Is it still be considered as the minority? So, in other words, as the chaperone of the family, the supporters of the husbands, or women are actually begin to given more opportunities, or women are given more voices for their rights, for their equality, and anything that they desire within the reasonable boundaries.
Yeah, the answer of this question, can be given from two of the angles. One is the social angle, and the other one is the cultural angle. And
Mm,
if the third one we can also include the religious angle as well, because
mm,
primarily Pakistani society is a religious society, because that country has been based on the name of a religion, which is Islam. So, and then there is some cultural like aspects too. So primarily in the South Asian culture, the woman is supposed to be uh, the the role of the women. As I said earlier, the well constructed gender roles are there in the society. So one of them, it is that the women, they are supposed to be the housewives.
mm,
So majority of them, like more than 50%, they are always in the society, and they are supposed to be sit at home and raise a family. And same are the teaching from the religion side, as the religion says that this is the role of a woman. And then it's come the social role, so
mm,
so socially the Pakistani society is a patriarchal society. So in which men are considered, even they are the more and more superior roles. But over time, specifically as we entered into the 21st century, Now we see the women are the fighter pilots in Pakistan Air Force. The women are also in the Pakistan Army. So in virtually like every sector, the role of the women, it is there. So now I need my viewers to understand that as the role of women in various departments of the society is increasing, so the cases of rape or the sexual violence against women, it is also increasing. So there is a positive correlation between these two. So let's hope, the silver lining is that soon the law will take its course and more and more strict, compliances will be made at the workplaces and the public places, and those places will become more and more safer for women in Pakistan. As you discussed here, the case study of China, it is a perfect example for countries where violence against women is very prevalent, and Pakistan is no exception. China is the best example. When I go outside, I see the women, they are shoulder in shoulder with the men, and they are playing their part in the national prosperity. So in this sense, that's why we can say that, because same as the Pakistan, because Pakistan has a 51% of the women population. So if they can't come out safely and they are discouraged from work, because they feel threatened about the violence. So how can we be more hopeful for the prosperity of a country?
Dr. Kahut, I know you are very busy. Now, again, I got two more questions before ending this conversation. Now, let's go back to the incident happened. Number one, our prayers and also our condolences to the victims and also their families, that we know that as a woman or for anyone, that no one should experience such tragedy. Even though at this moment that we don't know what happened to the victims and also we don't have any details, but of course, based on our discussion, we sincerely express our sorrowness and also our, just the sadness for the victims. But meanwhile, Dr. Kahut, I want to link to another concept, which you're the expert, which is economy. We know today within a society, we can't expect that every single citizen is civilized. We can't expect that every single person is educated or always stand on the moral high ground. So help us to understand within the city or within the country of Pakistan, what is the economic stability at this moment? So in other words, is economic stability can be seen as one solution to reduce such crime against the women or against anyone at this moment? I mean, again, I'm not saying China is perfect. I'm not saying Japan is perfect. But I'm saying if the economic projection or if the economic stability can be maintained, balanced well, I think the crime rate are more likely to drop regardless what the crimes should be. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course, I totally agree with this sense, because as my country is undergoing through the economic turmoil, so as the political turmoil, political instability, it increased recently in the last 6 months or 10 months so that the economic turmoil and the economic instability also increased, and at the same time, Mr. Will, the crime rate has also increased. So we have witnessed the more and more cases of violence against women. The bomb blast. The terrorist attacks. All of these things. They are very much linked with the overall stability of a country. So yeah, you're right, and I totally agree, and I also vouch for this thing that if you want to have all segments of your society prosper well, bring economic stability, bring political stability, go for the long-term planning, and then stick to your plans. The basic problem with the countries in the global south, and Pakistan is no exception. It has all those issues which any cash, deprived and the malfunctioning economy, society has the problem. So Pakistan is no exception. So only solution, to move forward is to have the political and economic, stability, so that the social mobility of all the minority segments, if you can include the women also in that. Okay, so for the perfect and the upward social mobility of all the segment of society, we need to have the stability. And by stability, we mean the political one, the system one, the governance one, the economic one, and even the socio-political one. Yeah.
Dr. Kahut, I want to wrap up our conversation again by going back to one of the interesting articles that I discovered and based on this topic. Now, based on the interview that a lot of women today in Pakistan, that they express, and I quote, there seems to be no safe space in Pakistan for women. Fear is inculcated in women since the birth that we must protect ourselves and navigate. When such thing or such incident happened, we shrink ourselves to fit into this. Now, Dr. Kahut, you are one educated scholar and you live internationally and you witness the social stability and also this economic prosperity around the world. Help us to understand and give us the words of the comfort for women today in Pakistan, not just about the women in Pakistan, but also the citizens outside Pakistan looking for ways to engage with the country, hoping to invest business or any other opportunities for the country. How confident that we should be such issue would be solved in due season, and also why should we not to worry about this in the long run, but instead we should still be positive and hopeful regarding the social stability or the social security in this country?
Yeah, I'm an optimist person, and but I must say, as I said earlier, that as long as we have the political, economic, social instability in our society, these issues can't be solved. Once we have the strong system of governance enforced with the long-term and medium-term and short-term planning, that how to tackle these violence against women issues, we can't move forward actually in this sense. So here lies, no such hope, but the good thing is that, more and more women, they are coming out, and they are reclaiming their spaces in the society. They are becoming professors, they are the lady doctors, even more, they are the engineers, they are in the military services, they are in the police, in virtually every department, they are there. So they are reclaiming their spaces in the patriarchal society. So now, the only thing which can make sure that more and more young girls, they also get motivated is to make those spaces safe. Number two, there needs to be the re-education or the sensitization right from the home. The parents shouldn't inculcate this thing in the girls, that if such wrong thing happened to you, so it is their mistake. No, it's not their. So victim blaming, that's what we say it. Victim blaming is also very, very prevalent in our society, which is very wrong thing. So if something bad happened to me, so it's not my mistake. It is the crime at the part of the perpetrator. So same theory also apply to a woman. Right. So, so these issues, they can be solved by the re-education, by the proper sensitization campaigns or the awareness campaigns, only, these issues. And also, as I said earlier, I'll end my note here that all these rape and these issues, violence against women, it is a byproduct of the social problems. Once you solve those problems, number one, illiteracy, 25 million children of Pakistan are out of school, so this problem needs to be solved. Then poverty. So today we need a long queue, in front of the the flour, the basic commodity. The country has not, self-sufficient in that. So poverty is there. And then the problem of unemployment is there. So all of those social problems, they need to be addressed. Once those social problems are addressed, then all of these byproducts, you will see that there will be a decline in the numbers of such crimes.
Well, Dr. Kahut, I really appreciate your insights. Of course, that just based on what happened in Pakistan, again, as international citizens or global citizens, that we always say, what happened in one country not only requires the effort locally, but also requires or demands this international effort, this international collaboration, and in order to help the country or help the world to become better. Of course, it's always very exciting, encouraging to have such a positive and also insightful person like you to help us to understand not only this geopolitical change in Pakistan and also the social stability, this economic prosperity within the country. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, it's my great honor to speak to Dr. Shoaib Kahut. And Dr. Kahut is a PhD scholar of Shandong University in China. Again, he belongs to Pakistan, where he worked for the government and private sectors as well. He regularly writes for international papers and journals.